Red dot sight. Before red dots, a soldier under fire had to align 3 separate things simultaneously: rear sight, front sight, and target, while their hands were shaking. Adrenaline was rewriting their fine motor skills, and someone was actively trying to kill them. The probability of getting all 3 perfectly aligned under those conditions was essentially a coin flip wearing a uniform. Then a Swedish engineer named Gunnar Sandberg built the aim point in 1975. 1 point, 1 focus. Done. Here's what's actually happening inside that tube. A tiny LED projects a dot onto a partially reflective lens. The lens bounces the dot toward your eye while still letting you see through it. Your brain fuses the dot and the target into a single focal plane. No rear sight, no front sight, just the dot and whatever you're pointing at. It sounds almost too simple to matter. The US military disagreed by ignoring it for roughly 2 decades. When they finally adopted red dots at scale in the mid-2000s, hit rates in combat improved meaningfully, not slightly. One thing most people never realize: the dot has no physical size. It's just light. Aim it at a wall a kilometer away. It doesn't get bigger. Your brain simply agrees. That shouldn't work as well as it does.
Holographic sight.
Most people assume a holographic sight is just a fancier, more expensive red dot. Slightly bigger window, cooler reticle, premium tax. That's wrong. In a genuinely interesting way, a red dot projects a point of light onto a lens. A holographic sight, the EOTech being the most recognized, with its rectangular housing that looks borrowed from a sci-fi prop, uses a laser to reconstruct a hologram of a reticle recorded inside the optic itself. The reticle exists in 3-dimensional image space, not on the glass surface. The practical difference is dramatic. Destroy most of the glass on a holographic sight, the reticle still functions, because it was never on the glass to begin with. US Special Operations adopted EOTechs heavily. SEAL teams ran them. Delta operators trusted them in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then in 2015, things got uncomfortable. EOTech's parent company settled with the US government for $25.6 million. The optics had been shifting point of aim in extreme temperatures conditions that are not exactly rare in either theater. Nobody made an announcement. The military quietly stopped recommending them. Operators learned through news coverage, same as everyone else. EOTech fixed the problem. They still sell today, but that story never quite leaves the room.
Telescopic scope.
Most people mentally place the sniper scope somewhere in World War II, maybe earlier if they're generous. The first documented combat use was the American Civil War. Confederate sharpshooters were removing Union officers at ranges that should have been impossible with iron sights. The solution was essentially a small telescope clamped above the barrel with improvised brackets. No windage adjustment, no elevation turret, no illuminated reticle. You saw the target larger and hoped the rest worked itself out. By World War II, the engineering had matured considerably. German snipers used the ZF-41 and ZF-4. Soviet snipers used the PU scope on the Mosin Nagant. Vasily Zaitsev became famous enough for a Hollywood film. The legendary duel portrayed in Enemy at the Gates may or may not have unfolded the way the screenplay suggests. Historical records on that particular story have always been generous with themselves. What nobody disputes is the psychological effect. You can miss 1,000 soldiers. You cannot miss every officer. Modern scopes, first focal plane reticles, custom turrets, integrated ranging systems are executing shots at 2,500 meters with wind calls that engineers at Zeiss in 1940 would have assumed required a room-sized computer. It quotes applied physics with a trigger. Suppressor. Hollywood is almost entirely responsible for how wrong most people are about this one. A suppressor does not make a gunshot sound like a whisper. It does not produce a polite pew. It reduces muzzle blast by roughly 20 to 35 decibels. A gunshot sits around 160 decibels. After a suppressor, you're looking at approximately 130. A jackhammer is 130 decibels, still hearing damage territory, still audible from a block away, just considerably less catastrophic. Hiram Percy Maxim invented the first commercially successful suppressor in 1902, son of the Maxim machine gun's inventor. The family was apparently very committed to the theme. His goal wasn't military. He wanted sports shooting to be more neighborly. The device was sold alongside car mufflers, which he also worked on as a general noise reduction product. You could buy one at at a hardware store, no paperwork required. That lasted until 1934, when the National Firearms Act imposed a $200 tax and mandatory registration.
$200 in 1934 equals roughly $4,000 today.
Suppressors became functionally inaccessible overnight. Meanwhile, Norway, New Zealand, and several European countries treat suppressors as standard polite behavior. No special registration, no tax stamp, just basic noise courtesy. The logic holds.